You know what will be a fitting title for this movie? A fantastic prequel, and where to find it. Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, directed by David Yates, who gave us the final four Harry Potter films, and of course written by the always wonderful author of Harry Potter, J.K. Rowling herself, and tells the story of British magical zoologist Newt Scamander, who travels to 1920s New York with a suitcase full of magical creatures. However, when a muggle, or nomad as they say to non-wizards in America, unleashes the beasts from the case by accident, it's up to Newt, Jacob, and two sisters to track down the magical creatures before they wreak havoc throughout New York. However, there is a growing threat of the Dark Wizard Gallet Grindelwald, who has started a revolution against the Muggles, and the threat of an Obscurus, which could mean war between the magical and Muggle worlds. Now, if you all know, I absolutely love Harry Potter. I have reviewed all 8 movies in anticipation for this prequel, and have ranked them. So if you want to check out my Harry Potter reviews and ranking, please make sure to do so. And now I've got my wand at the ready, so let's review this movie. Now, when Harry Potter ended 5 years ago with the Deathly Hallows Part 2, I never imagined we'd actually be returning to the Wizarding World with a prequel slash spin-off. Well, you can call it either, but it's both. I was so fucking hyped for a prequel to Harry Potter, especially when it was announced that David Yates would return in the director's chair and J.K. Rowling herself would be writing the screenplay as her first screenplay for a movie. And although prequels very often aren't as good as their original series they set up, like the Star Wars prequels and The Hobbit, but despite that, that didn't bother me at all. Even if it wasn't as good as Harry Potter, I was still going to see it. And when I came out with a big, and I mean big, smile on my face, because I absolutely loved Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Why Fantastic Beasts is a perfect example of a prequel done to pure perfection is that it's a prequel that finally doesn't have to rely on too much nostalgia, because this takes place 70 years before the events of Harry Potter. Harry, Ron and Hermione and co wouldn't have even been born yet, so we get new characters, and there are references to Harry Potter, but thankfully they're not overused. They're only few and far between and done appropriately. I loved these new characters, and loved the 1920s New York setting, and seeing the Wizarding World from a different point of view. We got to see more of the Wizarding World than we ever did in Harry Potter. The world building here is just phenomenal. It was so great to see the Ministry of Magic in America, MACUSA, and they even have a wizarding bar full of goblin prostitutes and goblin gangsters, and that's just awesome. And they keep the same feel of Harry Potter by having moving objects, and the Wizarding World not revealing its existence to the Muggles, and that's what's brilliant about this movie. It feels like a part of the Harry Potter universe, yet it's different. There's so much originality in it. As for the characters, loved every single one of them. Not a bad character to be found in this movie. I like these characters even more than some of the Harry Potter characters. Don't hurt me! For example, Eddie Redmayne, our protagonist as Newt Scamander. Eddie Redmayne is a hit and miss actor for me. Of course, he played the villain in Jupiter Ascending last year, but this performance more than made up for that, because this is his best role to date. He is utterly charming as Newt Scamander, and Newt is a more interesting protagonist than Harry Potter ever was, as he is a dedicated zoologist. He studies and absolutely loves his magical creatures more than humans, and you feel so sorry for him because he's trying to prove to the world that these magical creatures are not dangerous and we should protect them instead of destroy them. Yet it takes a lot for people to see that. And Catherine Waterston, I think she's underrated. Not a lot of people are praising her because she was legitimately awesome. I mean, I haven't seen her in a lot, but after this she deserves more work, because her chemistry with Eddie Redmayne was unbelievably sweet, and they had such a great friendship by the end of the movie, and I loved her sister. She was so awesome. How she was so flirtatious throughout the movie, her and she even has a sweet romance, which I'll get to when I talk about everybody's seemingly favourite character, Jacob the Nomad. He was so adorable, so funny. He was really the heart of the movie, and we never saw the Wizarding a Muggle brought into the Wizarding world in Harry Potter, but this movie actually introduces the Wizarding world to a Muggle or Nomad's perspective, and he ended up loving it so much. He wanted to be a wizard himself, and who wouldn't? And the creatures themselves are astonishing. They were so much more creative and imaginative than any of the Harry Potter creatures. I particularly loved the Bowtruckle, the green tree-like creature, and the Niffler, the platypus-like creature that kept stealing all the jewellery, which is absolutely hilarious, which contains one of the best scenes in the movie, which I won't spoil, but yeah, even the larger creatures were so enchanting, and you wanted to protect and cared about every single one of them and learn more about them. You wanted them for yourself. I've heard a lot of people complain that this film has pacing issues, that it feels too long, but I completely disagree. I was never bored at all throughout this film. The pacing was just perfect. It is a long film, but I never felt the length, because if it had been any shorter, the movie wouldn't have been as satisfying. And the first half of the film is the very fun and light-hearted of them going around New York looking for the magical creatures and bringing them back to the case. And by the second half of the film, this is when J.K. Rowling takes over and things go to shit. Boy, does it get dark. This movie is way darker than you'd think it would be. It was not just a simplistic, fun story of capturing magical beasts. Oh no, there's so much more complexity and maturity to it than that. Trust me when I say it is darker, better written, and more engaging than the first two Harry Potter films ever were. And that created a perfect balance of the fun elements of Harry Potter and the darker elements of Harry Potter. To be honest, I was more engaged in the darker storyline, because J.K. Rowling, as she is one of those authors where her writing's so edgy and mature, and she's not afraid to go there. If anything, her writing is more adult, even though she's thought to be one of the greatest children's authors. She really doesn't write for children, and I love the plot where wizards were being persecuted and really had to hide and live in fear, because at that time people wouldn't have been accepting to wizards, and there was a constant threat throughout of a dark force going around destroying New York and killing nomads, and Makusa were having a tough time keeping the Wizarding world at peace. Even though Makusa do come off at dicks, you understand their motivations, and I loved the president of Makusa. She was awesome. She was a badass woman. You wouldn't mess with her, and there are so many brutal scenes in this movie that your kids should look away. There is literally an execution scene, which I won't spoil, and there's people getting beaten by lashes, and most of the dark stuff really happens in the third act, which again I'll save for my spoiler talk, but I'll just go as far as saying it's amazing. There are so many twists and turns which you won't expect, and one major Harry Potter villain does appear, and I'm not going to spoil who it is. I'll save that for the spoiler talk too. But the villain of this movie, Greaves, he was great. He was just a dick. The Harry Potter series is well known for dicks, but he was just one of the worst, and how he was manipulating Credus, who is such a tragic uh, and compelling character, by the way. I won't spoil what he does again, but I was going far as saying you will feel sorry as hell for Creevus. And are there magical battles in this movie, just like there were in Harry Potter? There are. And they are amazing when they do happen. So, and the score by James Newton Howard, beautiful, wonderful. I loved hearing that Harry Potter theme again, and yet the score was original as well. It had its own identity. It competed with John Williams' score any day. So, honestly, guys, I don't have a single negative to say about this movie. It is an absolute a classic, or certainly go down as a classic. It is the greatest prequel I have ever seen. To be honest, I liked it even more than some of the Harry Potter films. It is a more than worthy addition to this franchise, the ninth film in this series, and yet Harry Potter is still good. How is that possible? And it's my absolute favourite film of the year, and I cannot wait to see it again. I give Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them 5 stars out of 5. After this, I cannot wait for the next 4 sequels, as this is going to be 5 films, and David Yates and J.K. Rowling have proven they are a perfect team. They put Harry Potter on the map. Well, I love you guys. Thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review, and stay tuned for my spoiler talk. And what do you think of this film? Please comment and let me know. Please like this video and subscribe. Please follow me on Twitter and on Google+, and I'll see you all next time. Bye, guys.